Good evening, afternoon. Always make sure you turn on everything before you go live. What is up, my lovely people? How are we doing out there? Everyone cool? Everyone feeling good? It's the start of another week. A very busy week for Josh. Josh has many miniatures that need to be painted. They're all primed. Finally the weather held out long enough today for you to be able to prime some stuff. As an example, we have the Generatorum hub. Here it is. It's enormous. Look at how big that thing is. And as I've already mentioned, I can now just, if I cut 2 holes in it, I could use this as a cosplay. I've come as a Warhammer table. I am line of sight blocking. Oh God. And here is everything else that has been primed. We have the idol of the old ones. The Breaker Boss, which I know a lot of people have been looking forward to. We have the Pyregeists, the Idrilan Riverblades, the Mandrakes, the Night Lords. It's all here. So that's like a month's worth of painting right there. So yeah. We'll see how quickly I can get through it. But how are we all? Everybody good? Today is Me Time Monday. So today we're not doing any of that stuff. Today we are doing this stuff. Hello, Travis Woodside. Good afternoon to the tattooed zoologist, Colonel 149th of the Death Corps of Krieg, Laura Brand, Chris Mercer, Baradon 283, Yamail Langmar, Ash, Tiago, Chris again, Grumbling Dad, Mark Watson, Dudex, Vicious Goose, Beardhammer Wargaming, Ricky Colebrook, thank you for being a member for 11 months. We're almost at a year, my love. And Colonel, thank you very much for being a member for 9 months. Our baby together is ready to be born. Hello, Travis, Star Pilot 94, Kataro. Hello, Stoogie. Hope you're well. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all having a great day, a great week so far. Although we are only 17 hours into the new week, so I would understand if anybody didn't have a real answer for that. But I hope you guys are doing good. As always, smash that like button. That would be very kind of you. It's a great way to support the video, great way to support me, and it's free. We currently have 69 concurrent viewers, which is ideal. Now we can just get to 50 likes and then 69 likes. We'll be cooking. You're trying out some Turbo Dork Blue Metallic on my Hammers of Sigmar. Results are mixed. Oh no. I've not tried any of the Turbo Dork paints. So I got the new lens. That's arrived. It means we can go as close as if I had higher ceilings, we would be able to go as close as this. But I don't have higher ceilings. So that's how close I can get now to a miniature. Maybe this will focus. We'll see. Yeah, there you go. That's how close we can get to a miniature with the new lens. Which is fun. But I need higher ceilings, guys. So if you'd like to help me move out of this place, please do consider becoming a member. The other key, there's two components to this, right? One, we need the new computer so that I can start streaming and filming in 4K. Two, we need to leave this place so I can have high ceilings so that I am able to get the full power of the zoom, because it will not focus at that distance. So that's generally where we're going to film. But when we need to do things like eyes, for example, we can zoom in just ever so slightly. But the other thing I want to do is I want to be able to mount the cameras on things that aren't mounted to the desk, because at the moment, if I like do any, if I just even just like tap the table, you see how it all swings. So everything is mounted to the desk, so it's very easy to waggle the whole thing. New fund goal. Yeah, well, you know, it's not on you guys to help me move house. That's on me and Alice to do. Yeah, so like I said, we've got the new lens, got the new camera. We're pretty good, so we can comfortably get to like there, which feels pretty good. I've not done a great job on that shield, to be fair, but it is what it is. I was rushing these earlier today. Well, yesterday. Good evening, Mini Painting Dad. I've had a wonderful evening. So today we're just going to be finishing these guys off, basically. Or trying to do as much as I possibly can. So we'll just zoom out a little bit. There we go. So the next thing I've got left to do on these guys is basically all highlighting. So that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm on the gold stage, which is infinitely boring. Oh, Mini Painting Dad. Thank you. Thank you so much for the €20. Something for the new hardware. Well, there you go. You've put us on 500. That's it. We are a quarter of the way there. That's very kind of you. Luke87, thank you for being a member for 5 months. And Jacob S, thank you for becoming our first new member of the day. You are a hero. Thank you very much. Baradin says, if you haven't ordered Thranduil yet, put the money towards the PC fund. One of my shelves fell down and smashed up a load of my minis, including Thrandy, so he's in the bin. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, Baradin. That's awful. I've been basically checking every day to get Thranduil, and he's just not turned up. He's not been available for ages, which has been really annoying. How much got destroyed, Baradin, if you don't mind my asking? So I'd like to move the mic there so that I can continue to talk. And just pop these out of frame. So what I'm highlighting the gold with on these guys is a roughly 2 parts mix, 2-to-1 mix of Stormhost Silver and Retributor Armor, which you guys have seen me do many a time now. Because it is just such a gorgeous little bright gold. What's the tonal difference? This one is much brighter. Ultimately, there's not a ton of tonal difference, but actually, what this does is it's much, because the Stormhost Silver is in there. It gives it this really, really brightness. It's very, very bright, basically. So Liberator Gold can do it, but it's not as stark. Liberator Gold is just like it takes a couple of layers to get there as well. So when you're doing this mix, you're basically making a Liberator Gold replacement. But because of the silver, the Stormhost Silver being mixed with a base paint in the form of Retributor Armor, it's just very, very strong, very, very consistent paint. What did I just miss? I just missed something. I just missed a big one, didn't I? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Mini Painting Dad upgraded to Warhipster. Thank you very much. But then Star Pilot 94 with 50 gifted Warhipster memberships. Star Pilot, you absolute legend. A little leftover from what I gave Liam last week. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. That is huge, buddy. Thank you so much. You're an absolute, you're a gent. You're beautiful. I love you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Our eventual goal of getting to 1,000 members. I think I might die of happiness. I think it might be too much for my little brain to comprehend. Yeah, see, look at how bright that mix is. I love this mix so much. I discovered it when I was doing Lumineth, and ever since then, it's just been like, why would I not do this on anything else that's going to be like really bright, shiny, warm gold? Look at that. Thanks, James. Have you watched Godzilla by Kong? No, I haven't yet. Is it good? Oh god, that was way too heavy. Oh, how it shines. Only the faithful. How were the Bare Naked Ladies? Couldn't make any dates this time. Gutted. The Bare Naked Ladies were fantastic, Simon. They were absolutely wonderful. For those of you who don't know, last week I went to go and see Bare Naked Ladies with my dad in Bristol at the Beacon Centre. I think it was the opening night of their tour. And they were really, really good. Wholeheartedly recommend. Plops of Corn, evening. Feels like I've been away too long. Sorry for my absence. Had a sickly month. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you feeling better now, Plops of Corn? But thank you very much for the $4.99. That's very kind of you. You didn't have to do that. Boom. These are starting to look good. I don't know why I'm highlighting the underside of the spear, but I am. Seems like a silly thing to do, doesn't it? There you go. There's all the gold done on one. Baradon, thank you very much for the gifted membership. That is very kind of you. $624. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, rather than do all the highlights on all the gold on all 5 of these guys, we'll be forever doing that. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just finish this one guy. I'm going to finish him up today. Hey, Nick Main. Going to build Callus and Toll and then shelve them until the tutorial. No rush, Josh, then. No, so they're built, they're primed, they're ready to go. I will hopefully get to them after I've done all of this Pyre and Flood stuff. And the Nightmare. I was going to start them yesterday, but I was feeling, a little bit tired, a little bit like... If I start these now, I'm going to be painting them all week, basically. So, the next thing we're going to do here is we're actually going to take some Cantor Blue that I've just thinned down with 4 parts Water Plus to create this kind of almost glaze consistency. And I'm going to use this to smooth out the blue on the shield. And I'm going to do this across all of them if it needs it. Because I hadn't noticed until we looked at it just a second ago that it needed doing. Where is that coming from? There we go. That looks so much better. Does the shoulder need doing? Just a little bit. That one looks just about okay. We're still going to add a little bit. There we go. No, Captain Mannerings. It's all good. Nothing will ever dampen my love for the Stormcast. What are my thoughts on the Sacrosancts being removed? Okay, so here's the thing. I was initially confused as to why the Sacrosancts were the one that were going. Because they're not that old. However, especially, well, and so this is the thing, right? Especially when you then match it up with what's actually staying. The Vanguard Chamber, for example, that's all staying. Which was a shock to me. So, when you then consider that, the Vanguard Chamber is the one that's staying, but the Sacrosancts are going. To me, it must be to do with how popular the models actually were when they came out. And how they've consistently probably not sold very many in the last couple of years of AOS. And so, of the things that they decided to get rid of, they decided to get rid of the ones that people weren't really buying. Which, in some ways, is a... And this is going to sound strange, but that's a more consumer-friendly way of doing it rather than just doing it based on age. However, the other part of it is like, okay, so they're going. It must be more of a financial decision to get rid of them than it is an actual gameplay version of it. Because, you know, things like the old Dracos, the Dracothian Guard, they're very old models now, and they're not particularly good when you combine them with the other Stormcast things, like, so they don't match up as well, right? But Fulminators and that have been performing consistently well. Star Drakes as well. People consistently buy the Star Drake because it's a really cool model, and I think it has seen some play on tables in recent years. So I think there's a kind of a two-part thing that's happened here, in that, like, all of the stuff from the Warrior Chamber that's gone, so the Prosecutors, the Liberators, the Judicators, the Lord Celestant, and all that, I think that's all getting redone, right? So all that's returning. So that part of the announcement, I kind of feel is a little bit like, well, okay, but that doesn't mean people can't still use their older Liberators and Judicators in place of those, right? Because it's just a proxy for those models, essentially. Unless, like, the new Judicators are coming out and they're armed with muskets. It can't be that radically different. You see what I mean? Like, the Liberators that we've seen so far aren't that radically different. The only thing we haven't seen, and I think somebody in the chat confirmed it for me on Wednesday, was that we hadn't seen any Liberators with swords. So it might be that the swords have gone, and so that's why, you know, that the War Scroll as being legends. However, the other side of this is like the Stormcast range is massive, and we all agree that it's massive, so it needed to be trimmed down. So what would you trim? What would you trim from the Stormcast range? Bearing in mind, like just like trimming like things like the war bands and stuff doesn't count. Not really. Well, and exactly. So the War Scroll that we saw today was Heaven Forged weapons, so that does not prevent you from using Heaven Forged swords at all, if you wanted to use them. The only thing it might be thing is like the Grand Hammer. It's a bit hard to say that the Grand Sword is the Grand Hammer, but that's fine. I wouldn't ever have a problem with someone saying, "Hey, look, this sword is this big two-handed sword is a Grand Hammer, is a Grand Sword." So yeah, like that's the question. The question I would put back to you guys is what would you have trimmed from the Stormcast range to make the book more sleek and to make room for new models? Because I'm a bad person to ask because I love all the Stormcast. And so my answer is none. I don't care if the book has got 400 War Scrolls in it. Right? But the part of this that is like hard to kind of marry up is that every model is someone's favourite model. Right? Every model Games Workshop has ever made is somebody's favourite model. There are some models that are more people's favourites models. But every model will at some point be somebody's favourite model. So the question is what do you trim from the range as extensive as Stormcast Eternals that's not going to upset everyone? The answer is there's none. No, that's all good, Cameron. There we go. All the blue has now been corrected. I refuse to believe the Blood Belt Hunter is someone's favourite model. I'm sure it is, Lone Monkey. I'd have trimmed the exact same Warrior Chamber stuff along with the Vanguard and Extremis Chambers. That way I'd have the design team drill down to focus synergy between Warrior and Sacrosanct builds. Interesting. Interesting. Extremis Chamber, though, would mean that you would probably end up losing Vandus Hammerhand, the Stardrake, so the Celestin Stardrake and the Drakesworn Templar, as well as the Fulminators, Tempesters, Decimators, and the other one, Concussors. So you'd lose all of that. That would all be gone. Vanguard Chamber, you would lose the Azeroth, the Hunters, and crucially, the Raptors, and the Paladors. Not the... Because this is the thing, it's like, you look at the list of stuff, and it's like, Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows have appeared in pretty much every tournament since they dropped, because they are very, very good. They are exceptional War Scroll. They're exceptional Stormcast. And they will have sold consistently well ever since they came out. Did the entire Vanguard Chamber survive because Vanguard Raptors are very good? Because you couldn't Legends everything except the Raptors, because then it would be quite cynical, right? So, you know, it is what it is. So that's the thing, is like, I don't think it really changes much for most people, right? For the subsection of the people who who go to tournaments, I don't think it changes much for them either. Do people think it's still worth picking up Seraphon Vanguard now? Oh yeah, no, definitely buy it. They're all new in there. Sigmar lied. They are now Stormcast temporaries. The rules need to be condensed. Keep the models condensed, the rule scrolls, and use what models you want. Well, there you go. Exactly. Captain Mannerings is bang on. Thank you very much for the 5, Captain Mannerings. That's very kind of you. I'm going to throw that and Plops of Corn's lovely donation into the PC fund. So it now on a delicious 510. I mean the Lord Aquilor. If I said Knight of Zeros, I meant Lord Aquilor. And the Knight Zephyros is also part of the Vanguard Chamber. As someone new, I'm just a bit annoyed some of the prettier models are going out of production when it comes to the game. I don't mind proxying some stuff for the rule of cool. And that's absolutely fine, Simone. And you're absolutely justified in that feeling. However, the only reason I'm not so down about it, and let's be clear, I'm still going to paint my Sacrosanct Chamber for my Celestial Vindicators. I'm still going to do it. Because I want to, because I love the models. But there is going to be a pile of new Stormcast Eternals miniatures, which are going to be much cooler. That's the thing, is it's like I could not have predicted how cool Dominion, how much levels of awesome higher Dominion was going to be than the previous sets of ranges from the Stormcast Eternals. So like the Vindictors, the Vanquishers, the Vigilors, all of that stuff is just so unbelievably nice. The Annihilators, the Praetors, the characters, the Andrasta, the Stormdrake Guard, Krondys, Karazai, all of that stuff is absolutely breathtaking. And it's just, like I said, it's orders of magnitude better than anything that we'd had from Stormcast so far. So, whilst we have only seen 5 Liberators, we don't know what the rest is coming. And it might be that whilst the sacrosanct models are beautiful, and they are, and I'm going to miss them for now, when you won't see them at tournaments anymore. However, you can still use them in every other form of play, and even in any other kind of game that you want to play, because they'll be supported for another year until 2025 as well, for matched competitive play. When that new box drops, I suspect it'll just be like, Sacra who? Do you know what I mean? That's kind of my thinking. And that's why I'm like I said, I'm equal parts sad and also equal parts, you know, what was it the wise guru Lahima said? My Avatar fans out there, Legend of Korra fans out there. The old world has to be destroyed to replace it with something new. And that's it. So it's like, yeah, there's like melancholy, but at the same time, there's a deep level of excitement for me personally. And like I said, I bought a box of Liberators on Tuesday after I said I would on Monday. And I actually, if anybody out there has a box of Paladins and old Prosecutors that they don't want, shoot me an email to therealwarhipster@gmail.com. I will happily take them off your hands. Enter yourself and become heir. Yeah. Okay, so which one will we work on? This one. This one's the one that's been highlighted. So this one, as you can see, that blue is now nicely smoothed out. It looks much better. So we can now continue on with the highlighting process. And you know what I think I'm going to do next for this guy? Is I think I'm going to do the white next. So the white I'm going to use is this one. Vallejo white. Also, when I say if you've got a box of Paladins and a box of Prosecutors that you want to move on, and I'll take them off your hands, I will exchange them for money. It's just they're out of stock everywhere else, so I can't find them. That's why. I won't just liberate them from your hands. Okay, so this is Vallejo White. One more little bit to do. There we go. So now I need to do some Gawthor brown. And I think what I might just do is dry brush this over the things, because I think that will just be quicker. Do you want the Soul Wars Stormcast harp? You can have that very cheaply. So that's the problem, TN Trashers. I've got that. You're very good at this painting, like you should think about doing it for a living. Oh, thanks, Carl. I'll think about it. So this is Gawthor brown. And then we just... very gently over the top. Do that just to add a little something to the spear, like that. What are your thoughts on the new clan rats? Oh, I think they look absolutely fantastic. I think they're really, really cool. The only thing I worry about is that they might be a little bit too... depending on how many clan rats you end up having to have for a Stormcast? For a Skaven army, they might be a little bit too detailed for exactly what you need. Which isn't, you know... It's a nice problem to have. What I think will be important for me is to figure out a way of getting them done quickly and effectively in a way that you guys can follow along with and not feel like you're overworking yourself on what is something that will fundamentally be making up quite a large portion of your army, but also isn't the main focus of it. Because you wouldn't want like the clan rats to be so mega detailed that you don't want to sit and let edge highlight like tons and tons and tons and tons of different colors of cloth across like say 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, however many of them you need to have. But don't worry, that's for me to figure out for all of you, and then to make a video on it. But I think they're really pretty. And as per usual in these situations, the thing I now want to see is, you know, the slightly more impressive models that are going to be involved in the box. So like a character, for example, or an elite infantry option or something like that. There we go. Lovely. So we now have almost finished this one. What we need to do is we need to highlight the blue. Curtis, I just painted 9 Screamers using your vid and they came out amazing. That's awesome. I love to hear that, Curtis. I really enjoyed painting the Screamers when I did them. I was like, these models are sick. And I did them just towards the end of when I thought they were actually going to be a meta choice. And then Games Workshop released the 9th edition codex and they were bad. And I was like, no! My dreams! So I was like, I'm gonna paint 18 of these. But then obviously I didn't end up doing that. Okay, so this is Hoth blue. Whoa. Oh, it's not even in focus. There we go. I might thin this down a little bit more than I should have done, to be honest. There we go. So now the only thing that remains is to do the gems. And the colour we're going to be using for that is Blood Angels Red. So we've got a little gem here on the forehead. Like that. And what you want to do is you want to avoid doing what I just did. Which is accidentally spilling it. There we go. Got it. We just come in there and correct that a little bit. And then we've got another one. Just there, like that. And that is a finished Hallowed Knight. I could highlight the black, but I don't want to. I think it's fine. There we go. Now just do all that again over another 4. Hey. How would you highlight the black if you did want to? Oh, I would use Dawnstone. Just use a little bit of Dawnstone to highlight those black edges. The only reason I'm not doing it is because there's 5 more of these to do. And I might end up doing it at a later date. But as of right now, I don't think it needs it. How long does it take you to finish one Stormcast? How long have I been painting that one since we started? We're an hour into the stream. I did do a little bit on the others. So about what? I've probably spent about half an hour, 40 minutes on this one. So overall, to paint a Stormcast that looks like this. Hang on. To paint a Stormcast that looks like that, this was probably in total about 3 hours work. The longest part is getting all the silver down. And to be honest, like, we can use this time to keep going. So I can keep doing more corrections and stuff. So for example, on this lady here, I've still got some white thinned down. So we can do that. I think sometimes if I didn't require a number of hours of what my dad referred to as staring out the window time. I could probably do a Stormcast pretty quick. That is kind of what happens when I paint something that I really love, like the Stormcast. I love them very, very much. We are above the magic number of likes. You guys kick ass. Well done. Now, can we make the goal of 100 likes on the stream? There we go. We're almost halfway there. And now we have the trickiness that is this. How are we doing this? Probably in the stupidest way possible. That would be the answer. Oh. Yeah, this is Vallejo white. It's this colour. Here. My wrist is not going to thank me for this. Hang on. I'm sorry I'm not saying very much right now. I am heavily concentrating. Oh. There we go. Now there's just this half to do. I hope you don't mind, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this camera and I'm going to do it here so that I can have it a little bit closer to my eyes. Because this position is a little bit softer on my wrist, just here. But we'll be back, don't you worry. How about some likes in the chat for that that brush control that you saw there? I'm impressed that I made it through that, to be honest. Because if I could film this way, I would. But you would spend most of the painting videos just kind of looking at my hair. And nobody needs to see that. There we go. So there's the front of the banner, and there's the back of the banner. And that is the white all done on yet another Stormcast. You prefer Hallowed Knights, Mr. Birdie, to the Hammers of Sigmar? Yeah, I mean, I like them. They are one of the. They were the fourth storm host to be forged by Sigmar, and they were also just a kind of, I think, just a kind of like a throwaway. A bit of like a throwaway alternate scheme. The Games Workshop just went, yeah, this is what they look like when they're silver. And everyone was like, they're really sick. Let's see more of them. So then you got more of them. And now they're about to... Now they're about to be a box art. Colour scheme, which is just fantastic. Only the faithful. Still, I wonder how long it's going to take for the naysayers on the internet to be like, ugh, Hallowed Knights, poster boys of Sigmar. Now, realistically, how long do you think it would take people to get mad at a different Space Marine chapter if Ultramarines ever got replaced. I think it would be the day that they're announced. So on the day the edition dropped, you would have a lot of people being like, ugh, Size of the Emperor are always getting new models. To which my response would be, quiet you. There we go. All the white's done. How do you thin your metallics, Yuki? I just use a little bit of water on a piece of palette paper. I've just realised the music has stopped playing. We need more music. There we go. Now it doesn't feel quite so weird. Oh, I need to rest my wrist now. That's a lot of high detail work. At a silly angle. I don't know why I did that. What are you guys working on at the minute? Also, has anybody followed up on my suggestion that you should listen to Soul Wars, the audiobook? Not Soul Wars, good lord. Plague Garden, the audiobook. If you have, and you realise it's the best book ever, are you enjoying it? So I've just got that to do. That's done. That on the other 4. That on the other 4. That's done. And then that on the plume. Yeah, not very much left. What was your question, Elec Man? I started it. Love it. Listening while painting Vandus. There you go, James. It's such a good book. I love it. Oh, I can actually tick this over now to 139 because we finished one Stormcast. Just 4 more to go. Painting Scarab Occult Terminators. Looking forward to new Skaven. Awesome, Niall. Non-contrast colours for the white bits, banners and shoulders specifically. The off-white I use on the shield doesn't quite match, and I undercoat silver. I would recommend using contrast... not contrast paints. I would recommend using Corax white out of the pot, because it's a lovely base paint. You can then shade it with either Soulblight Grey, or Nuln Oil, or Hoth Knight if you want a bluer white, and then highlight it with White Scar. If you don't like White Scar, you can use what I just used, Vallejo White, which is very, very nice. It's a very nice paint. You're working on the Fast Riders, Simon. Awesome. Painting some breaches while I watch / listen. Listen. Blah, blah, blah. Hello, Reza. Washing up right now. That's cool. Listen to those books before. I do like them. Currently doing the Vendensed books, working on Dark Elves / Daughters of Cain. Nice. Just started reading the new Emperor's Children book, Lord of Excess, and it's great. EC Legionnaire gets possessed by a Slanesh demon and abandons Abaddon to create his own warband. Oh, I like it. That sounds fun. Will you trial Skaven paint schemes? No. What I'll do is when the Skaven arrive, I will do them then and there. Because I'm not going to buy a box of Skaven to figure them out now, because it's just like, there's no point. So yeah, I will when the box arrives. I will be painting all of them, of course. There will be tutorials for everything that comes in whatever that box is called. And there'll be a ton of Skaven stuff coming, I'm sure. Because they'll have a bunch of alternates in there as well, I reckon. They'll be like, hey, this is what these guys look like, and these guys, and these guys. So I'll do all of them. As we did for the Stormcast last time around. Because last time around, I did Anvils of the Helden Hammer, Hallowed Knights, Hammers of Sigmar, Celestial Vindicators, and Tempest Lords. I did do a Silas Beastbane as an Astral Templar before. So, Stormcast this time around. I might do some other Storm hosts as well, depending on what's in the box. If I had to guess, it's going to be somewhere in the region of 10 Liberators, 3 Prosecutors, possibly 3 to 5 Paladins, and a couple of characters. Finishing off my jump pack intercessors, adding the decals. Nice! I have a video request / recommendation. Would you do a lore video where you talk about all the Stormcast Eternal Storm hosts? You could show your painted models and link to the tutorials you've made. Yeah, that's a good idea. We can try and get something like that done. I've been working on my Annihilators. I started way back in late January / early February, but my life kind of fell apart and I didn't paint again until last Friday. I'm finally in a rhythm again. Awesome! Not awesome that your life kind of fell apart, Alec, man. I'm sad to hear that, but I'm glad it's feeling like it's back together. Painting Callus and Toll and Hexbane's dudes for Warcry. Sick. You're working on fun models. I'm excited to do my Callus and Toll. I think it'll be fun. Because they're a really, really lovely set of models. I'm basing the Ironworld Great Cannon. The thing is so sweet. Yeah, the Ironworld Great Cannon is a beautiful model. That is lovely. Are you going to do a video on Shalaxi Hellbane? I've used all of your videos for my Slaanesh demons. Firstly, thank you, Jason. Glad you used all of my videos for your Slaanesh demons. There will be a video on a Shalaxi Hellbane. There will. I just can't tell you when it'll be. Because I don't know. Because I've also got Sinessa Talon of Slaanesh? Whichever the Talon is. Not the voice. And I need to get the voice. So what I kind of want to do is I want to do all three. Sinessa, Dexessa, and Shalaxi. So that we can finish off the Slaanesh range. But then I also need to do... what's it called? The Demon Prince. Sileski. And I also need to do the Mask. There's quite a lot of Slaanesh demons I haven't yet done. Including the Cavalry. Haven't done them either. So yeah, there is plans afoot to do them. As to when it'll happen, I'm not entirely sure. Hopefully this year is all I can say. Finding time to do anything in April now is impossible. Because I've got 40 models sat behind me that need painting. Because you guys want to see them. So the Night Lords, the Mandrakes, the Idol of the old ones, Generatorum Hub, people really want to see that. The Yggdraland Riverblades, the Nighthaunt, the Pyregeists. I've got a Breaker Boss on Maya Brute Trogoth, whatever it's called. Got that to do as well. So yeah, I've got a lot to do in April, and there's more stuff on the way which I can't tell you about, which I also need to get done. So it's looking like April might be an absolute slog. But I do this for you. And your gifted memberships. I just picked up Archaons, so trying to decide how to paint them. That's awesome. Stuff you can't tell us about, huh? That is correct, Mr. Birdie. Stuff I cannot tell you about. But it's on the way. It's really cool as well. Hey, have you already seen the new Clan Rats and the Warp Lightning Thrower / Warlock? Absolutely hyped for new stuff. Love the look upgrade, but still perfectly can mix with the old models looks-wise. I have seen the new Clan Rats, yes. I think they look really cool. Thought the YouTube idea we had was good. Yeah. Yeah, it is a good idea. So I'll try and get that done, Rez. And we'll see. We'll see if it works out. Although the questions that come up when you look up my name are very, very stupid. Did I told you what they were? If you put my name into Google and you look up like most top asked questions about Warhipster, I can tell you what they are because they're very funny. You guys will like this. Hang on, we're back in the we're in a stupid area. No albums. Let's just go like that. Recents. Right. So the four top questions about Warhipster, guys, are in Google. Is Warhipster a Scrabble word? No. Is Warhipster still alive? Yes. Is Warhipster good? Only you guys can tell me that. Is Warhipster a word? No. Well, yeah, but all words are made up. Painting Abraxia yet? No, not yet, Vicious Goose. I can tell you quite confidently that I do not have Abraxia, the spear of the Everchosen. And thank you very much for being a member for 10 months, Vicious Goose. That's very kind of you. Yes, Warhipster is good. Or is he evil? The light and the dark. Yeah. Chaotic lawful. Yeah, probably. That's probably the best way to sum me up. Any tips on making fabrics look more like fabrics? Yeah. So what you can do, Star Pilot, is you can do like a bit of like cross hatching on it in some ways. So like if you want it to look more like a kind of like a woven fabric, when you have like the lines in like a cloak, for example, rather than highlighting the line of the cloak, what you could do is you can do lots of small lines going diagonally across that. And if you do that across all of the edges, it looks more like fabric that way. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to kind of blend in a shadow. So if you like, for example, if you look at my Ash Usharan tutorial, thing I do on the Usharan tutorial is I blend a brown up into the red. So if you do that with like black or whatever into a blue or into a green, or a brown into a red or into a purple or into something like that, that can really help. The other thing as well is to use earthy tones. So like if you're doing like leather, for example, throwing in some Agrax Earthshade here and there really helps. But like cold earthy tones, so Agrax Earthshade, Wildwood, they're really good for adding in some cold earthiness. Painting Kroot right now. I love to hear it, Psycho Dice. I'm looking forward to the other Kroot as well that haven't come out yet. The Hounds and the Lone Spear and is it the Trail Shaper? Is that the other one? You mentioned you wouldn't go out of your way to buy old Skaven to make them into test models, but if you have a PO box, I could send you my new on sprue old clan rats. I won't use them with the new ones coming. That's very kind of you, Alec Man, but it's okay. We'll be fine. I rarely do a test model, if at all. So I would just be adding sprues to my pile. It's very kind of you, but I don't need them. But thank you. Considering that you paint so many minis, do you have a favourite faction to paint for yourself and a least favourite faction to paint for myself? Yeah. Stormcast are probably my most favourite faction to paint for myself. Probably. I just love painting them. I love how they look. There's something about, the shield wall and big plate armor that I'm a big fan of. But I really did enjoy also painting Cities of Sigmar, and I'd like to paint some more of them. My least favourite factions to paint, probably... I love how they look, and I love getting them done, but anything that's like Chaos Space Marine. It's like the Night Lords. I'm looking forward to how they'll look when they're done. I'm not looking forward to actually painting them, because the amount of trim that is available on those is just ugh. And like that's where all of the pop comes. So like like with World Eaters, for example, Berserkers, they're fantastic models. They're great, and I always love them once they're finished. But finishing them is a slog. Josh's superpowers colour matching by eye is actually scary. That's me. Yeah, that is what I do. Hello, Hendrik. Will you be putting together a whole Tau army to play with? Oh, yeah, I want to, Mr. Gwatkin. Finding the time for it is very difficult, though. It's very, very difficult to find the time to actually do it. And then the real question is actually, am I gonna? Why do I really want to do it? Is the question. Like, is it a top priority? If I was going to like the LVO, then yeah, but I'm not. so I don't really need to do it. Is my thing. So it's like, if I had like 2-3 weeks, if I had like 2-3 weeks of space, maybe it is something that I would do. Like, I would make a big dent in it, but 2-3 weeks of space in my schedule is completely unheard of. Like I said, I've got 40 models to do this week, which is not going to happen. But I've got to get them done this week and next week. So I need to average about 20 in 7 days. So that's nearly 3 a day, which is hard. So, like, I will probably, like, for example, the Generatorum hub, that'll probably take me about 4 or 5 hours to do, to film that one. Because it's big, but it's not actually not that complicated. At least not with the scheme I have in mind. So that's 4 or 5 hours to do that, and it just doing that as well. And so I will also do the idol of the. I will also do the idol of the old ones after I've done that. So that's 2 videos right there, and that means we now have 38 left to go. I think what people really want to see is Night Lords first. So this evening, tonight, is probably when I will start them, because the primer should be fully dry by then. Just back from dinner, so I may have missed this, but what are your thoughts on the Stormcast that are being deleted? I understand that they needed to get some of the heroes in infantry, but I'm disappointed at losing the Dracolines. They're unique and great models. Yeah. So this is my I did talk about this earlier, Dave, but as my fellow brother in Stormcast, I am sad and also not sad at the same time. Firstly, because the models, they're not really going anywhere, but they are not going to be supported for matched competitive play. However, they still will until 2025. So you won't be able to buy them anymore. But do you really need to buy any more, given as that there's new models coming that are going to be even better? Is the thing, because this is like, you can predict what the new stuff is going to be in terms of like replacing older things. So anything that was in that warrior chamber, paladins, liberators, judicators, the castellant, for example, the Knight of Zeros as well, prosecutors, if I hadn't said them already. I think that's all getting replaced, and that's great. But what's the new stuff that's also coming in as part of the ruination chamber? That's what we don't know. That's the thing. So there's like, I always believe within Age of Sigmar that if something's going to go, it's going to be replaced by something much better. And so in many ways, it's like, yeah, it's a shame that those models are going, but at the same time, I'm going to get better ones to play with when I go to a tournament. But if I'm not going to go and play at a tournament, it doesn't matter. Because if I'm going to play my mates, or I'm going to play in my local club or whatever, there'll be no restrictions, so I can still use my Sacrosanct. So, yeah, that's kind of my views on it. It sucks, but it sucks, but it'll be all right. And there'll definitely be a new cavalry option. I would be surprised if there's not a new cavalry option for the Stormcast. That's it. It's like, yeah, it sucks, but yeah, it will be okay. What was the last 40k event you went to? Was it Warhammer Fest doubles? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the last official one that I went to was then Stormcast doubles. Not Stormcast doubles, Warhammer Fest doubles. So yeah. And like, yeah. It'll be alright. But, Adeptus Custodes, they could be my army for 10th edition. Who knows? Who knows if I even want to play 10th edition anymore? At the moment, I flip between... Do I just sell everything in my 40k collection and start again? Because I sometimes think I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of choice I have. And if I just was to commit to one, that would be okay. That's in my kind of darkest moments when I'm like, I really want to love 40k. I really, really want to love it. But you make it so hard to love you. That's why I was really surprised by Kill Team Nightmare, how much I really liked that box. And it wasn't because I thought the models were more impressive. I genuinely didn't. I thought the Nighthaunt, the Pyregeists, the Idol of the Old Ones, and the Riverblades, I think I prefer them as models. But as a box, I prefer Kill Team Nightmare, which was strange for me. So I'm like, do I just bin it all off and put it and sell everything and start again? Because realistically, is my desire to do 10th edition 40k there? No, it isn't right now. So is my desire to... Will it come back in 11th edition? If that's the case, then I've got 2 years. I think the whole thing would be better if they gave big updates to different factions rather than Stormcast every time. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, there is always, like... You do need to have, like, that consistent thing in the box. Because, like, one of the things I like about Stormcast over and above Space Marines is Stormcast are just easier to paint as a basic model. Their more complicated models are more complicated than Space Marines' more complicated models. The more complicated a model gets in Space Marines is usually just bigger. So, like, the basic troops in Leviathan were Infernus Marines, and they're fine. And then the more complicated thing in that is the Terminators and the Stern Guard. Whereas if you go and look at Dominion, it scales all the way up to Yndrasta, the Celestial Spear, who is quite complex as a miniature. Because she's such a centerpiece, you want to do her justice, right? So you end up doing a little bit more on her than you necessarily would anywhere else. So I think Stormcast is a basic, like the Vindictor is 10 times easier to paint than an Intercessor. But Yndrasta is much harder to paint than a Terminator Captain. Because a Terminator Captain is just a slightly more complex Terminator. And a Terminator is just a slightly bigger Infernus Marine, really, at the end of the day. So, yeah, I think, who do you replace Stormcast with to make it an accessible thing for somebody who's new to pick up the starter box for? There's an argument that Chaos, but then do you really want people painting slaves to darkness as their first port of call, given how much trim they have? Yeah. Rotating the factions is always an interesting one. Because there's the pathways, there's the pathways on from so if you think it's your first new models, like, what's the next step is the question mark. So, like, with Stormcast it's really easy because it's like, here are the next steps, here are the next two things, and they're also push fit, so they'll also be familiar to what you've just done in your Dominion or in your command set or whatever the hell it's called in the big set that you get as an intro thing. What is the next steps onwards? AOS 1, Stormcast were terrible for this because they went, hey, next steps after you've bought Mighty Battles in an Age of an Ending War is the Star Drake. Why don't you get that next? And it's like, no. What? But the Stormcast in that box, I don't think they were push fit. I don't think they were. So they might have been push fit to a certain degree, but some things needed been gluing, I think, if I remember correctly. I could be completely wrong because it's been a long time since I've put them together. So yeah, it's like, what's next is the question mark. So yeah, I don't know. I like the consistency from a customer service point, from a customer journey point of view, that you have Space Marines and Stormcaster are ever present. But I get it. As more experienced hobbyists, having those two factions always be the one that's in the box can be a little bit draining, especially if you're not a fan of them. If you are a fan of them, then it's great because it means you know that every 3 years you're going to get a really cool set of miniatures for your favorite Order army. It's the same for Space Marines. And that's the thing, like for me, it's like maybe 11th edition, the Space Marines will be really exciting. Maybe. I mean, what's left to be redone from the Space Marines? Unless they just launch a Armor Wars 11th edition and you just get a brand new upscaled Rhino and Razorback. It's just a box of tanks. There you go. Have fun. New Predator. Hello, Mark Reed. I think it just pushes them into the bloat issue. And yeah, and there you go. Like, that's the thing is, from my perspective, like, I don't think bloat is an issue. Because I like having loads and loads of choice. You know, like, there's an argument to be made that, like, almost every range could do with doubling. Like Flesh Eater Courts, they could do with doubling. Ossiarch Bone Reapers, they could do with a few more things. Soulblight Gravelords, they could do with a few more things. Like some elite vampire troops, like the Blood Knights. I know they got the Eskurgan True Blades, but then they just don't match the aesthetic of anything else in the army. The Maggotkin of Nurgle, they need a bunch of mortal stuff, like to bring them in line with the Disciples of Tzeentch and the Hedonites of Slaanesh, stuff like that. Seraphon, I feel like they could do with a few more things as well. Deepkin definitely needs some new models. Lumineth probably don't need that many new ones. They could do with having another elven race that is more attuned to Tyrion that isn't called the Lumineth, maybe something like that. Sylvaneth, new dryads would be nice, as well as like possibly one or two extra things. Fyreslayers need like eight or 9 kits to make them into a really expansive army. Caradron Overlords, they could do with some new infantry, and maybe another ship of some class, like a minesweeper, that sort of thing. Because you've got what, frigates, ironclad. Oh, Liam's gone live now. Good, he has. Before you all abandon me for Liam, because I'll be bumbling off in about 5 minutes. Next launch should be Stormcast plus something order against another army. Yeah, but then also, like, I feel like that can be really confusing. Josh just hangs up and then shows up on Liam's stream. No, I go and have my dinner. That's what happens. Like there was a rumor for a long time that there was going to be a box that had like Sisters of Battle, Astra Militarum, and like one Space Marine unit versus some Chaos Space Marines as a way to launch like one new kit. And it was like, I remember like reading that rumor and just being like, that's an all over the place box. Because I think if you have 3 armies, that's essentially is what that is in the launch box. People are going to go, now I have to collect 3 armies. It'd be cool if Deepkin got some elite infantry like some Achilleans with shields or some big crab creatures. Also a giant kraken. I mean, I would like the Ideneth to get a giant kraken, but you don't actually have a kraken. What you have is you have a number of tentacles that you place around the board. That it just kind of like it's so big you don't see the whole thing. You only fight the large tentacles of the kraken. That's what I want to see. What is the in-law reason for a Stormiest mirror match on tabletop? Oh, a Stormcast mirror match. Right, so what they have is they have so they have in Azir they have this this dome called the Gladiatorium. Which is where they basically it's where the so to give it its full story, the Gladiatorium was a gift from Malarian to Sigmar when they were all friends, and it's where they train, right? So the Stormcast all trained before they were unleashed on the on the rest of the mortal realms. They firstly purged Azir of everything that wasn't wasn't ordery. And secondly, they trained in the Gladiatorium. So, in the Gladiatorium, they can fight, they can be hurt, but not really hurt. So it's kind of like VR training, basically. But it's also what Sigmar didn't realize was Malarian was able to spy on what was going on. So he's just sort of watches, and he was figuring out what the Stormcast were all going to be about. But yeah, that's how you do Stormcast versus Stormcast. Is that they basically go off training in the Gladiatorium, and they're able to create battlefields and this, that, and the other in there. So there's one of the Hallowed Knights books. I think it's one of the earliest ones. It might be the first one actually. Opens with Gardas and Loris Grimm dueling in the Gladiatorium, and because Gardas is the sword and Loris is the shield, they are perfectly matched. They just fight each other to a standstill. Do those Lumineth Warcry models that you've just painted have AOS rules? I haven't painted them yet, but I think they do have a rule. Yeah. I think they will get them, for sure. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, that's how the Stormcast have a mirror match on the tabletop. Just catching up with watching you highlighting the shields. Have you ever tried Canoptic alloy for highlighting gold? Yes, I have, and it's okay. To me, it provides a little bit more of an antique-y finish. It's not quite as bright as my lovely Stormhost Silver Retributor armor mix. I really like the mix, so. Is there a lore reason for all factions mirror matches, or just the Stormcast? Also, super cool explanation. Yeah, I mean they all fall out with each other, right? So, like, for example, the Sylvaneth quite often beat each other up because you know, some of them are just so rageful. So they are ancient spirits of long dead elves in many respects that are trapped within the trees, like the Spite Revenants and the Tree Revenants, for example. And quite often they fall out because they have very different views on how things should be done. So they're constantly bickering with each other. Ultimately, the only person who settles any debate in Sylvaneth lore is Alarielle, because she's the Mac Daddy of everything. Chaos, they're always fighting each other all the time, constantly. Daughters of Cain, as has been recently shown, there are people who are very unhappy with what Marathi did in order to achieve her ascended god status. And so, for example, what's her name? Crethusa, the Crone Seer. She is a prophet of Morai Heg, the Crone god. I think I've got that right. Who is opposed to Cain, but is very much a Druchi god, a long dead god or a long missing god. The vampires, they all disagree with each other over what should be done and what shouldn't be done. They all think they have autonomy, but they don't actually. So they all think that they're off doing their own thing, and they're all scheming against Nagash, but actually they're not. Nagash quite often just gets bored and decides that he might want Night Haunt processions, or he might want a cohort of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers or whatever. He might just not want them anymore. They might have transgressed, or they might have failed or done something wrong or whatever. So he'll just set other Death Legions on them, just for fun, just because he can. Nagash ultimately is the puppet master behind everything. When it comes to death, all of the Order factions basically are sort of friends, but also they all have their own agendas. It's more an alliance of convenience. Caradron overlords would fight each other over a contract. They're very aggressive to anybody who tries to steal their gold, including other Caradron. The Ideneth, it's all about souls. They might attack each other to gain each other's soul bounties from raiding the mortal realms. Yeah, even Seraphon disagree with each other. They disagree with each other on what the old ones actually meant. The Slan and the Saurus quite frequently butt heads. The Slan are all like, we interpret the great game, blah, 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 blah. This is what the old ones planned for everything. And the Saurus are like, shut up, let's go kill stuff. Because one is distinctly more aggressive than the other. Yeah. There's lots of reasons. I think it was a little confusing in the beginning of Age of Sigmar, because there was Grand Alliance Order, Grand Alliance Death, Grand Alliance Destruction, and Grand Alliance Chaos, and everyone thought that meant all of these people were all allies with each other. And they are to a certain extent, but they are also usually it's because of how they are disposed or what they are opposed to. So anything that is in Grand Alliance Order is usually only there because it's diametrically opposed to Chaos, and that is usually the only reason why they're. Ideneth Deepkin are a horrible group of people who survive by sucking the souls out of everyone, but they are diametrically opposed to Chaos, which is why they are part of Order, and they can be reasoned with to a certain extent. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, thank you very much for the 10. When it comes to improving certain techniques, how often would you recommend the person to set a practice for, such as every day for 30 minutes or every other day for 30 minutes to 1 hour, etc.? That's a really good question. I think, like, there's this theory that you become an expert in something by once you do 10,000 hours, right? If you do 10,000 hours in something, you become an expert at it. Is that kind of, is that old saying? But obviously, 10,000 hours means you've become an expert. You can be a virtuoso in an art form, for example. If you spend 10,000 hours playing the guitar, at some point you must be very, very exceptional at playing the guitar. Honestly, when it comes to practicing, doing a little bit every day, like even if you just do 5 minutes every day, it all adds up. So, like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, really good way to practice. Doing a little bit. I often think if you want to practice every day, practice for less time every day. Like if you want to get really good at edge highlighting, if you do one edge highlight every day, you'll get really good at edge highlighting. The more time you spend in it, obviously, the better. But like, you don't want to over practice on something because you can end up getting frustrated that way. Destruction are just one big happy family. In certain ways, yeah. Destruction breeds destruction. So the more destruction that happens, the more destruction factions turn up. But if destruction stops happening, the destruction factions turn on each other to keep the destruction alive. So you see big war and all that kind of thing start to grow and grow and grow until they end up devouring themselves because they haven't got a good enough fight to keep the energies of destruction, Gork and Mork and Behemat and all that kind of manifesting around them. But yeah, we are going to hang up the phone in a couple of minutes' time, ladies and gents, unless anybody has any final questions, super chats, or gifted members they wish to give. But before we do that, let me tell you what's happening this week. So this week, we're back on Wednesday with Tale of Many Warhipsters, episode, I want to say 10. That will be on Wednesday. Thursday there will be a painting video, and I'm going to try my darndest to make sure that painting video is how to paint the Nemesis Claw kill team, otherwise known as the Night Lords. So tonight, later on, I will be painting the Night Lords. I will start off there. I will get them done. So hopefully that will be on Thursday, and then on Saturday, maybe the Idol of the Old Ones or something. Anyway, it's going to be one of the things from Warcry, Pyre and Flood, or it's going to be Kill Team Nightmare. What time is Tales on Wednesday? I think we'll be kicking it off at 8. Should be 9. Okay, episode 9. Any tips on painting green scales for dragons? Yeah, I mean, what I would recommend with dragons, if you want to go green scales, what looks really cool is if you go quite dark and then build up the green. You can obviously go quite green, but like in my mind, a really cool way to do them is actually probably to go down as dark as black and then to sort of start dry brushing them up through a green. Go for a more naturalistic green rather than a vibrant green. I really like Cabalite green at the moment, as well as Cyberite green. But obviously, like Moot green and that are also very, very cool. Any chance you can start Tales earlier, like 7 or so? I'll see what I can do. I'll see how many. Submissions we have this year. This month? I'm not entirely sure. Might try and aim as early as 7:30. The problem is getting any earlier. Is everybody else on Tales, Mr. Gwatkin, Mr. Smith, Mr. Robbins, they all have jobs. So kicking off too early is hard because they've all got to come back from their jobs. I'm looking forward to seeing it, James. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. Adam will be late anyway. Yeah, probably. If he even comes back. He's flown back from being on holiday today. So he might be jet lagged up the wazoo on Wednesday, so he might not even be there. Otherwise he'd be here now. But all that's left for me to say is a massive thank you to everybody who's been a member for dropping their member cards in. Mr. Ricky Colebrook, Colonel, Mini Painting Dad, Luke87, Star Pilot. Oh, well, Star Pilot, thank you very much for being a member for 2 months, but also for the 50 gifted members, like an absolute hero. Big thank you to Baradan, Captain Mannerings, Plops of Corn, Easy Peasy Lemon Squeezy, Mini Painting Dad again for the gifted memberships, for upgrading memberships, and also for the super chats. You guys are legends. You're very generous. I am consistently blown away by your generosity, and it is because of your generosity that the lights stay on and I continue to make content for all of you, because it's the best job in the world and I never want to stop doing it, even when it's as stressful as it is about to be. I promise I will take more breaks at some point one day. One thing I will say, I'm not sure, I mean, it's out now. If you become a member over on Liam Dempsey's channel, he did a big long interview with me for 3 hours. So if you want to hear more of me droning on, you can go and watch that. It's a members only content. You can go and see it there. But thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight, guys. I will see you all very soon on Wednesday for Tale of Many Warhipsters, episode 9. Or 10, whatever it is. You guys are saying 9. But I'll see you all very soon for another episode. See you all later. Here is the hand of farewell. Love you. Goodbye. Goodbye for now. Goodbye. Goodbye for now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Love you. Goodbye. Bye.